Welcome to another not so well structured video. I'm gonna have a look at one of my earlier projects, which is a film that I shot in first year of university. The film is set during communism in Romania back in the 80s. In those times, especially from the stories that I've heard from both of my parents, it seems like professors had the power that they do not have today. They were allowed to discipline students, and the ways they were disciplining them were either through physical or vocal exchanges. As in, if you ever did anything wrong, they took the freedom to either whoop your ass, and now I hope my father didn't exaggerate with this one because I like to believe it. And another classic one was to just grab a ruler and smack you on the wrist if you did anything wrong. Also, they were very loud. They would scream at you and they would condescend you in a way that today wouldn't be allowed under any circumstances, especially in this modern world that we live in. The reason I was so passionate about this topic was because of a story that my father told me. Back when he was in high school, alongside his friends, they started smoking tobacco. My father, he was hiding alongside his peers behind the school, and they were having a quick smoke when his maths teacher came and he only caught him. Try and picture my father. When he wanted to play football, people had to choose between having him on the team or to have the ball first. Right? His physical skills weren't nearly as developed as everybody else's. I'm not sure why, because physically he was skinny. We're identical. He got caught, and the punishment was to eat the whole pack of cigarettes. I wanted to take this story and make it even more dramatic and adapt the idea with a bunch of middle school kids. And so I've come up with the character of, let's just for the sake of this, call him Tudor, because all of my characters, whenever I start writing, they bear my name, and Tudorina if they're female characters. I wanted the audience, especially when they first saw him, to think poorly of him. He's sitting in the back seat of the classroom, which is usually a sign that those kids, they don't want to pay as much attention as everybody else. They're the cool kids that have an oversight of whatever is going on in the classroom. Introducing Grigore, which is the professor, the villain in our story, which is the type of character that always imposes his respect as opposed to earning it. Let's just have a look at the film before we start discussing it. Keep in mind that the film was never finished. I didn't have all the sounds put in, the color correction isn't done properly. The cut is like a 95% rough cut, but it still, I think, tells a story. As you can see, when the lecturer arrives, it's not like he greets his students with cheer and hope and the will to teach them. No, it's quite the opposite. I like the fact that his walk was crooked. That was a nice touch. And you can already tell that he's the only one who is different in any way whatsoever. Everybody's rocking their Romanian scarves on their necks, which was a must-have. They're wearing the uniform, they're wearing the blazers, whereas our character has his blazer on the seat. Whoa, being different, eh? The problem I have with the whole concept, with the whole way that I shot it, is the fact that it establishes Grigore, the lecturer, as the main character. This is the biggest problem with the whole film, in my opinion. Everything else I can kind of resolve it in post. I can cut it slightly differently and tame down the whole reactions and intention and everything. But this is something that I can't fix. Yeah, the camera should have been on Tudor, right? The whole story is his experience. We don't feel tension. This should have felt more like a thriller. Because to an extent, the hints were shown to us. The hints that he's a rebel. The hints that he's trying to be different. We weren't hinted at all at the fact that he's good in academia. Because it would be all too convenient for him to not have anything. Like, he's a rebel, he doesn't do good in school. No, I wanted him to be great in school, right? But none of those things are necessarily shown just because the screen time for Tudor is so short and all the focus is put on Grigore. Again, I think the reason is because I was fascinated with the delivery of this actor. Time was very short, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I knew I needed that much of a reaction. It's not only the reaction, but the camera position. So think thriller, right? What would make Tudor afraid? What would make you, as an audience, feel more afraid and tense? Seeing Tudor and having the professor move about in the classroom, handing out the tests. I want to feel the tension as the professor is getting closer and closer to him, and I want to know that there is a chance that he might be caught. The camera should have been on Tudor here, as he is witnessing the speech from the professor. When he hears the word respect, that's when he's triggered, stands up, and then we cut to the professor's reaction to it. Flushes it down the toilet. Pretty good. I buy that. Yeah, and this is when he decides to fully rebel. How fucking awful is this font? Alright? Sometimes, when you're asking your friends to help you in making a film quicker, more efficiently, make sure that the one who is in charge of typography on a wall that you can only write on once and then have to wipe it down for 4 hours, make sure that person knows a good font or even has a clue of how to write it so it's more believable, because this looks like a joke. All right, I tried. I remember I went to the bathroom and I saw the font and I started cracking up. It was the funniest shit ever. But at the same time, only had like half an hour left in the school to shoot. Tried to wipe it, and that bitch was impossible to wipe down. All right, it was impossible. We had like isopropyl alcohol, put it on. It took like, I don't know, the full hour just to take it off. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna shoot it this way. And I was hopeful. I thought, maybe there's a way of replacing the wall. There's no fucking way of replacing this wall, all right? It would take forever. And that's when he's confronted. The Guardian like grabs him, smacks him, and for whatever fucking reason just stays there and looks over him. That doesn't make any sense, all right? Any sense whatsoever. Imagine seeing him run, reach the gate, he tries to jump, he's almost there, and that's when he's grabbed by the Guardian, right? That would have been a way more believable moment. Grabbed and falls, and maybe he falls in such a way that he's really hurt. You have to make those moments believable, because nobody's gonna watch this and think, oh yeah, the Guardian, he's not insane. Let's look back at it and try and understand exactly why the film failed. Starting from subtle things like where I would position him now, not against the white wall, moving him in more of a contrasty location. The whole focus of the film has to be shifted towards Tudor, because it's not at the moment. It's really not. It doesn't feel like he's the main character, and that's a big, big, big problem. You have to have the camera on him when you want to feel what he's feeling. And those tense moments when he knows he's hiding something, that there's a chance that he can get caught, Those are your most important moments in the whole film. And I failed them, all right? And therefore, I consider this project overall a failure, but it was one of the best lessons I could have ever had in terms of learning filmmaking. The climax, which is the moment when he snaps and fights, it has to be self defense turns into aggression, not aggression from, like, not a single note. It has to build up even more. Again, the font, just looking at the whole concept of learning filmmaking, I feel like doing it is the most important thing you can do. Doing it, just doing it. Write scripts, start shooting them, because otherwise there's no way you're gonna learn. Because when you look at the final product, when you look at a good film that you enjoy, you don't understand the process that goes behind it. You only see the final takes. But trust me when I say the most effort in putting a good story on screen goes into the pre-planning. It's not even the production days. It's about the director, the script writer, them coming together. Sometimes the director is the scriptwriter, and really working on making cinema, right? Cinema doesn't happen in front of the camera. Cinema happens in your head first, and then you figure out ways of putting it on camera. Because if the message is strong enough, if the story, if your comprehension of how you're gonna put it on screen is strong enough, there's no way you're gonna make it bad. And you need to understand what are those mistakes that almost everybody makes to an extent. Some people have it great. Some people understand exactly what they're doing from the very get-go. But even then, there are going to be shortcomings in other aspects. Usually, if you want to make something great, you need to have a very strong team as well. People that can contribute to their particular fields and help you deliver your message, help you deliver your story. But looking at the project that I shot in first year, I feel like even if I had that team, even if I had better equipment, even if I had like the best professionals in the world, they wouldn't have helped me necessarily telling this story better. Because when I was doing the pre-planning, there were certain aspects that I wasn't thinking about. When I look back at it, after years of having shot projects, I feel like I know way better what works and what doesn't. And again, I'm still learning. And everybody, most of the people who are doing film, they're still learning. It's constant learning. I hope you guys found this one helpful in any way whatsoever, and head out, start shooting.